Hello, welcome to today's Get Ready with Me. Today I'm going to talk about something really beautiful that I heard and kind of like how it relates to me. I've already done my base, so I'm just going to go straight into it. But basically, I love linguistics, and there's a excellent scholar of linguistics who goes by Summon Show over on Instagram, who talks a lot about like the role of language in oppression and in sometimes our language, despite that, still leaves us inadequate, even though it's so powerful in everything we do. It also reflects a lot of biases and unintentional messages that we send. But in this particular podcast that I was seeing, I don't remember the name of the podcast and I don't have it linked, unfortunately. He was exploring the identity of a homosexual friend of his who was breaking up with his partner because his partner didn't love him in a gay way. And I just like, well, what does that mean? And he goes on to explain it in the sense of he doesn't love that individual as a man. He loves him as a pretty boy, as a partner, as a sidekick. And it wasn't, I don't know what shade I need to be in this. It wasn't the kind of love and partner and equality of partnership that he was looking for. He felt that he was still being viewed as a woman rather than as a gay man, which would be particularly important to someone who was transgender as this individual was. And really, the narrative isn't in that individual's story. It's in what part of that story is universal. What part of that can we all relate to in some way? And that's what I find really beautiful. You know, I don't want to love a man, you know, because he's a provider and love him only in his way as a provider. Like, I also want to love him as a man. And I don't want someone to love me. Well, I don't think I'm beautiful, but I wouldn't want someone to love me for that. I wouldn't want someone to love me in a certain way. I want them to love me in the way that I want to be perceived. And that is so important because if something's that critical to your identity, if someone doesn't love that part of your identity, they're not really loving you. So, you know, if I really love working outside the home. That is very, very important to me to be able to contribute meaningfully. But if my husband only saw the mother part of me, even though I love being a mother, sort of sometimes, despite what I say, I was very committed to being a mother. Let's put it that way. You know, I love being a mother, and I love being a mother, even though I don't really love many of the aspects of it. There is, you know, it's really important to me that he sees and respects the part of me that's a worker. And we've actually had like little, I wouldn't say they're fights, but they were like moments where I had to like pull him aside and be like, why are you always bad mouthing my work? You know, I'm critical and I'm going to come home and complain about it, but you know me. Like, you know, this isn't my work. I work with the same organization you do. You know, he's actually made a joke and then had a pause and realized he was criticizing my career field and went, but not you. You're not like them. And I'm like, did you just really pull the, oh, but not you, you're different card? I'm like, come on, dude. Because it's part of my identity. It felt insulting. Even apart from his little faux pas that I mentioned. To be left out of consideration for the meaningful good work that I do. And he knows how important work is to me. He just wants me to be happy. He would never suggest staying home with me. And I know that he sees that part of me. And where I'm going with this is when you're loved for you and the identity that you put forward, it's it's a greater love than someone who loves you, because someone can truly truly love you, but they don't love you for who you are. Like my father loves me, but I don't think he ever has loved me for me. I think he loves me because I'm his daughter. Like, I am his relationship and his progeny, and I'm a reflection of him. It's a very like it's an egocentric worldview to love someone because they're related to you. And it's hard to point out because, of course, what I'm saying is, well, if I weren't his daughter, he wouldn't love me. And of course, a lot of people are going, well, duh. But it's deeper than that, because actually, let's say it was a split family home. The reality is, no, he should be able to love me even though I'm not his daughter. My dad, as this stepson himself, is very cognizant of what it was like growing up, not being his father's biological child. And he did feel that difference and favoritism that his father had for his own children over he and his brother, which came from another relationship. Like, you want to be seen for you and seen for your identity, and not just valued because of your relationship to something or something that you bring. And in this particular case, because he wanted to be seen as a man, it wasn't enough to be loved. He wanted to be loved and seen and valued as a man, and for the masculine qualities that he brought to the relationship. And when I think about my relationships, and does this hold true for people who are heteronormative? This is not a gay thing. It's not a gay thing in the slightest. This need to belong and to be seen as who you are and as who you are presenting to the world has nothing to do with your sexual orientation, but with value. Like, are you valued for who you are? So, like, love me in a gay way to me doesn't mean, like, I want someone to be gay for me. I want someone to be hot for me. No, that's not what that means. It means seeing that I am who I am presenting myself as, seeing me how I want to be seen and not seeing me how you see me. It's kind of like the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have done unto themselves, not as you would have done unto yourself. That's what we all learned in kindergarten, which is the golden rule, but to do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. And I kind of like, that's one reason I think I've never, so far, never had a falling out with my husband. We've definitely had struggles, of course. We've definitely had fights, of course. I'm a fight starter, so I gotta take the blame for that. But he's always seen me in a way that I could never, ever see myself. It was just a face value. This is who you are and this is who you present. And I was the one adding on well, I need to be this way. I need to contribute X amount of dollars. I need to be this type of mother. I need to be able to provide this sort of entertainment. I need to be able to accomplish this or get school done, or like a variety of like goalposts that I set up for myself that don't actually add to my worth as a human being. They don't in the slightest. Your worth is intrinsic. And he has just always had that intrinsic appreciation for me. So when I got diagnosed with autism, one of the things that I realized, of course, I didn't have the vocabulary for it prior, but I know now, is that I've never had to mask around my husband. I have always just been me. So I've been goofy, I've been silly, I've done the things that are really idiosyncratic. But I didn't have to do them for performance. I didn't have to do them for show. I didn't have to do them with embarrassment. I don't even get to be embarrassed around him in the same way that I'm embarrassed around other people, because he's honestly just used to my shenanigans. So I'm happy and blessed, obviously, to be in a relationship But more importantly, I'm me. Like the autistic part of me and the way that I identify now as someone who sees the world differently and who isn't full of social graces and is who incredibly anxious about really benign situations for other people. They're not benign to me, but they're benign to other people. He doesn't love me in spite of those things. He loves me because of those things. He loves me because of my identity. So the way that I am and the way that I present to the world is not something that he puts up with. It's the very thing that he enjoys about me. And that is a gift that I didn't know that I needed to ask for. And I don't know if there's a better definition of love than that. Just hear my kid go 6-7 in the background. I've been listening to that for hours every single day. It's welcome to motherhood. So I just have this like tremendous value and appreciation for what he's been able to give to me and for what that expression now means. It's not love me in a gay way. For me, it's love me in an autistic way. See me as I am and how I present. Know that's who I am. Know that I don't want to change. Know that I don't want to have to mask around you. And love me for that. And I know I just said this, but don't love me in spite of it. Love me for that. And I think that's beautiful, and that's the kind of love that we should maybe be aiming for. And maybe that's why sometimes relationships don't feel quite right. Like, I know like some of my early relationships, like when I was still in high school, were kind of like you loved someone because they were popular or because they were a girl, right? I felt like for the guys that was a lot of the minimum requirement was, are they a girl? Okay, that checks. And not necessarily seeing the other person for who they are. But I feel seen, and it's like not in like a naked way, like I feel exposed, but in like a very warm, like sunlit way, to know that I'm seen, loved, and valued in that way. So like I want to kind of challenge you as you go out, and go about your day or evening. I don't know what time you're watching this, but to kind of ask like, what are the things you value and what are the things your partner values? And do they line up? And I think your love and your relationship is only going to get richer if they end up lining up. So that was my thoughts on the subject. Thank you much for listening, and you have a wonderful, beautiful, and blessed day.